But only one place to start, and that's England's 3-1 win in Finland in the Nations League. Lee Hendry, you were watching that game, at times very frustratingly. What did you make of the performance overall, first of all?
So you don't want to really criticise too much because, you know, they had control of the game. I mean, what was it, 70% possession of the ball, but not enough sort of attacking threat for me until the changes were made. You know, I know it's always going to be difficult when you go away from home, particularly against a team like Finland who are going to defend gamely. But you've got to find a formula of trying to break them down. And the more I assess that performance, the more I just feel that when you're playing up against a back five, I think, I'm not a centre-half, I never have been, but I think if I was a centre-half, if anything was in front of me, I would be quite happy with that, particularly having two either side of me. Anything going in behind me, I would be cautious because I know that there's wide players that can run in behind. I know that forward players can run in behind. But I just felt it was far too easy in that midfield area. I felt that Gomez, Rice, yes, good at what they do, and I'm not criticising them at all. I just think that this theory of playing Bellingham and Rice and people not wanting it to happen, I think it'll work really well. I really do, because I think that Bellingham can be that sort of second striker at times and go and get in the box. I feel that we've got two identical players that do similar things in that midfield area. Take too long, all of a sudden you're allowing Finland to get back into that back five, four in midfield, and then how do you break that down? How do you break it down? Because they're dropping deep. It's difficult, and this is what you get at international level, and this is where you've got to find a formula of being successful. I think moving the ball quickly forward, as we did in the closing stages, the last 15, 20 minutes since making the changes, I felt that there was an impetus of us looking more dangerous and looking a threat, and that's just from getting the ball and playing it into them areas where players are going to run up the pitch and expose.
You mentioned when the changes came, it looked a little bit better for England. What would you say the overall positives were to come out of this performance for England?
So it was a professional performance, you know, it was. I think the positives are the changes that were made. You know, I still say this, that Harry Kane drops into areas that sometimes he's in and on the toes of Bellingham if he's playing in a 10. So having Watkins come on and making them runs in behind, stretching defences, allows Madueke to get high up the pitch, allows Grealish to get high up the pitch. And as we've seen, Declan Rice getting high up the pitch because we're stretching teams and we're allowing bodies to get in the box. When wide players get the ball in wide areas, and it happened in first half, there was nothing to go by. There was no ball where you could think, well, he's going to flash that in the box. There's no one there as a focal point to think, oh, I'm going to whip that ball across. And that's where I just feel that Ollie Watkins was the positive tonight. I know that I criticised him about the goal and defensively, but it was a poor goal they conceded. But in the forward area where he's good at his job, he did his job well. He stretched, he got high up the pitch, he created one of the goals. And that's what you want to see, you know, he's got pace, and I like to see that pace in the front line. And I think that's where I try and relate to watching Spain. When they get the ball, they're fast. They get on the ball and they get it to wide players. They get it into their front men and they ask questions. I felt we were laboured at times of doing that.
Lee, you mentioned the defence and the poor goal that they conceded tonight, and the two that they conceded against Greece as well. All of the talk has been about how they're going to fit all these forward players in. Yeah. Is what's being overlooked here slightly more worrying in that England's defensive outlook and how they're playing from the back is a little bit worrying?
Well, yeah, because it's about having a balance, is it? It's okay saying, yes, we want to play on the front foot, we want to play exciting, attacking football, but what happens when the coin flips and you're having to defend? Because, you know, we can highlight the attacking threat that we have, but we need to be solid defensively, and at times I felt that we weren't today. It could have easily... I mean, Jensen had a brilliant chance. He really did. Keskinen squared that ball 6 yards out. He should score. You know, you're coming up against a Spain, a France. That's goal, 100%. So this is the worry and the theory that you have to get that balance right. And it is a concern because the way they conceded the corner and the way they conceded that goal was far, far too easy. So it's all right having the balance of having that attacking threat, but we need to be better defensively because Henderson's come in today and he wanted to make an impact. He hasn't done a thing wrong, by the way, but to concede a goal, it'd have been great for him to have a clean sheet, come away. He stepped into the boots of Jordan Pickford. Now he's conceded a goal. People probably will question him. So defensively, it has to be more solid. And as I said, we need to move the ball quicker if we are going to go and beat teams and have that attacking impetus going forward, because I just didn't see it until the subs were made.
Lee Carsley has always maintained his remit has been these 3 international camps. Yeah. Now, after the first international camp, the noise around England was, well, Lee Carsley is going to become the next permanent England manager. Yeah. After 2 international camps and the 2 games we've seen this week, can you still make a case for Lee Carsley becoming the permanent England manager?
The case that I'll make for him is that he's trying something different. He's trying something different to what Gareth was. And I say that, Gareth was very defensive-minded. Lee obviously wants to get attacking players on the pitch. He wants to play from football. And we've seen that. I think he had to go back to a little bit of a defensive structure, a better unit today because of what happened midweek, which was really poor. And I'm sure he'll hold his hands up and say, I got it wrong. He did get it wrong. But, he's got to give himself a case, hasn't he? He really has. I mean, you're coming up against a Finland side who defended really well. I think he's still sampling things. He's still trying things. He's still looking for things. But not many managers would have taken Harry Kane off with 25 minutes to go, would they? Not many players, managers would have took, Palmer off. He is trying to figure out what's going to be his best solution of winning games and playing attractive football and making sure that we win games comfortably. And I did see that towards the back end, but it's got to be for 90 minutes plus where we're seeing a solid unit, we're seeing good bits of play. Yes, it's going to be times where we're going to be under the cosh or we're not quite at it. There was too many times where we weren't quite at it, but we've come away with a 3-1 result and he's got his 3 wins under his belt and 1 defeat. So, of course he's got a claim. Of course he's got a claim. Just finally, Lee, you say he's got a claim. What's your feeling? Do you think he actually wants it? And if not, who would your choice be? I think he would. I think he would want it. I really do. I know Lee well enough and I don't think he's going to scream and shout that, yes, I want to take the job. I think, knowing Lee, he wants to prove himself to everyone that he's worthy of taking that England role by performances, by making changes, by being something a little bit different. There's not a lot that needs to be changed, but I'd love to see Lee given an opportunity. I'd like to see how it pans out. But for me, I've always said I'd love to see Pep in charge of England. I really would, because I just think he knows the players, his style of play. I just think that would be an option for me to go and get. If not, it'd be probably Eddie Howe. But listen, we've still got a long way to go here. You never know what's around the corner, do you? Yeah, 3-1 to England out in Helsinki. Lee, Hendry, thank you very much for your time tonight.
International roundup. Grealish on target in England win. Jack Grealish was on target for England as the Three Lions bounced back from defeat against Greece with a 3-1 win over Finland. The City winger, who had previously scored just twice in his first 36 England appearances, made it 2 goals in 3 England games under the interim stewardship of Lee Carsley. Impressive throughout, Grealish opened the scoring on 18 minutes, sliding home an angled shot after excellent work by Angel Gomez. Grealish was one of 3 City players named in the Nations League clash at the Helsinki Olympic Stadium. John Stones retained his place in the back 4, while Kyle Walker was recalled to the starting 11, earning a 91st cap for his country. Phil Foden and Rico Lewis both had to be content with a place on the subs bench, as was EDS youngster Tom Galvez, currently on loan with Austrian side LASK for Finland. Carsley made 6 changes in all, with the 2-1 loss to Greece still fresh in the mind. Selecting a more tried and trusted lineup, the Three Lions controlled most of the first half, with a wonderful last-ditch block from Stones on 7 minutes denying the Finns after just 7 minutes. There were half chances at either end, but England only had Grealish's goal to show for their efforts going into the break. Walker linked well with former teammate Cole Palmer on 51 minutes, but the City captain's low cross was scrambled clear to Palmer, whose low shot was easily gathered by Lucas Radecki. 6 minutes later, Fredrik Jensen blasted over from point-blank range with the goal at his mercy as a low cross came in from Keskinen. In spite of that flurry of action, it was a largely colorless second period, with Grealish busy on the left and Stones and Walker solid and businesslike throughout. The game, as a contest, was sealed by superb free kick from Trent Alexander-Arnold on 74 minutes, with the Liverpool defender curling a powerful shot into the top left corner from 20 yards out. Foden and Lewis were introduced on 79 minutes, taking the City contingent to 5 for the minutes that remained. Arsenal's Declan Rice wrapped up proceedings on 84 minutes as he poked home Ollie Watkins' cross at the near post to make it 3-0, though Arta Hoskonen pulled one back for the Finns 3 minutes later to give the home fans something to cheer. Speaking after the game, Grealish said we could have had a few more, but it was difficult at times. The goal came from the manager letting us play with that freedom. I play with Angel Gomez in training and I know what a top player he is. The celebration was for my little daughter. I joked to Trent Alexander-Arnold before the free-kick score, "This I will give you 500 quid," and he slapped it in top bin. They'll have to give him it now. And on Lee Carsley's prospects of taking the England job permanently, Grealish added, "Whatever happens with the England manager, people will always say negative stuff." Before, people were crying out for all attacking players to play and it didn't work. I don't get it, it can happen in games. I love coming here, he is a top manager and I love playing for him.